Doom community has always been less of a game fandom and more like an organized religion, so I have full expectation that there are quite a few people already aware of this game. Doom RPG came out in 2005 on mobile devices, developed by Fountainhead Entertainment and ID Software, under the direction of the big man himself. It's a turn-based RPG, of sorts, set somewhere in the universe and 2.5D style of the old Doom games. Where and how it fits into the canon is an open question. I imagine it's something like this. Mechanically, it's a turn-based dungeon crawler with loose RPG elements such as level-ups, stats, shops and inventory. And the term RPG is used very loosely here. The only class is an armed maniac and the only skill is ultra-violence. There are no builds other than chugging every steroid known to man and maxing out the stats. The only choice when it comes to weapons is all of them, and the only grinding is organ grinding. Movements in combat are turn-based. You move one tile per turn, use one item per turn, or make one attack per turn. Aggroed enemies, move and attack after you're done. If that sounds basic, it very much is. That's not to say that combat is complete unga bunga. Well, mostly. Tactical positioning is still a vital discipline. Some enemies cancer can attack multiple times per turn, and getting swarmed means getting dead. While you can still solve most fights with murder hobo tactics, other times, especially with involved, some target priority may be required. Other than that, it's just Doom. Military bases, secret areas around every corner, blood graffiti, and of course the demons. Almost the entire roster of Doom found its way over to mobile, with the only exception of the Spider Masterminds. On the downside, it means but on the good side, the Wolfenstein Good Boys are on board, as well as a unique boss, more on that a bit later. One key improvement is that all the regular enemies come in 3 variants of power. I think it's quite a smart move from the devs, as now you can sprinkle more interesting monsters into earlier levels. You might not have the tools to deal with a Cacodemon in the tutorial, but the AliExpress knockoff Poo-Poo Fiend is another story. Speaking of tools, there are now 2 new additions, Choppy Boy and Splashy Boy. The axe is a melee weapon as well as a tool to break through broken doors, while the extinguisher... Look, I don't even care how effective this is pure catharsis.
Gotcha, bitch!
Most weapons have an enemy type that they excel at erasing. Pistols and axes murder zombies, shotguns put down hell dogs. Plasma is good versus gunners, etc, etc. Speaking of hellhounds, they are technically an enemy and a weapon. And armor. The Mind Control Collar lets you capture them and use them as a meat shield and a weapon to smite your enemies. You know, like Pokemon. Overall, the only thing missing from the arsenal is the chainsaw, which is a bit of a shame, until you realize that you can stack 99 Berserker orbs in your bag and turn into Jet Li the Demon Slayer.
Nope.
Unlike in the PC games, the game world itself is semi-open, with the central point being the hub from which individual levels are accessed. It's open because you can, and sometimes should, return and redo levels. It's semi because forward progression is gated by the iconic access cards. Levels tend to be made of sprawling corridors connected to arenas. What they lack in verticality is more than made up for horizontally. In following with design philosophy of sticking secrets under every floorboard, every level in Doom RPG is chock full of secrets. While extra armor and ammo are always nice, the real treat is finding weapons earlier than intended and power flexing the encounters. Money is also quite welcome, as the stat flavor crayons do not buy themselves. Normally, I would complain about backtracking, but it's surprisingly a non-issue. The levels aren't actually that big. The majority of time spent is in combat, inventory or dialogues. And even if the environments tend to look samey, it's almost impossible to get lost, as you can zoom around in the automap. Just don't do it on low health, as the devs are fond of sticking surprise encounters in areas that you've already cleared. You will also occasionally run into gated areas that require keycards from later levels. These are for the most part unnecessary but highly welcome. Small downside is that all mobs respawn once you re-enter the level, but then again you can also treat it as a victory lap. Naturally, running on the hardware that it was designed for, asset reuse is the name of the game, and the game acknowledges it freely. Still, playing through it as a kid and replaying it now for a review, I never had the feeling of déjà vu, or that I'm going through a filler level, and I attribute this mostly to the RPG part of the title. Let's talk about Burly Men and Ultraviolence. The first level is your obligatory tutorial, and you start with violence against ultra-broken doors. Ah, there we go, I was getting worried. Surprise, surprise, it's the demons. However, unlike the other entries in the series, we arrive just as the invasion begins, so there are still some friendly faces and brown trousers. It's a bit of a slower start, as the NPCs do a little manual dumping on us to teach the controls. Gameplay-wise, it shows off a few important things in the first two rooms. NPCs can have multiple lines of dialogue, so keep poking them. Terminals can have important info, such as passwords, clues about secrets, or open doors. Crates can be smashed up for goodies, medkits are used from the inventory, and tools get you through environmental hazards. The rest is a good old-fashioned bloodbath. It also has a quasi-boss arena with the Kaku demon Malrath. Every enemy we meet in the tutorial has a counter that we can find in the same level. Awesome! With that done, we enter the hub. This is the quintessential RPG town with vendors, gossip, and explicitly, the plot, via a faceless guy in uniform, tells us shit's fucked, unfuck it yesterday. And just like the levels, further exploration is completely unnecessary but rewarding. This is where the game starts to let us speak at its hand. There are a lot of NPCs and terminals in the junction, most of which are purely for flavor. Oh, never change. As we keep reading though, we can find subtle hints that something weird started even before the demon invasion, as something to do with all the equipment moved to the reactor room, which requires an absolute top-level clearance to enter. Right beside it, we also find the log of one Dr. Jensen, where he describes getting increased budget for his research on matter teleportation, needing a better power source, and then getting fired for reasons. How strange. In any case, with a dinky yellow keycard, the best we can do is enter the first wing, which spans 3 sectors. Entering the first one, things are definitely going just great. And almost immediately, we run into Dr. Jensen himself, all on his own. Is he hiding from the demons? Hell no, my man is too furious about his dismissal to even care, and neither needs nor wants us to get involved. Just a few rooms down though, we do run into this fine gentleman who does need help to figure out this puzzle, or rather just needs us to run the gauntlet of rooms to get the door open. Chain gun. The next puzzle is solved even simpler. What a helpful guy. Second sector is a much more brown and cavernous area that houses the ore processing. It's a lot of winding corridors, so naturally we'll run into mobs that suck to fight in melee. Of course we will also run into mobs that are awesome to fight in melee, especially with the most iconic brutal gun of the series. Our old pal Dr. Gerard is actually quite helpful, and without taking our money this time. And he opens the doors remotely as well as sends us down to ore processing for a quicker exit. Too bad it got damaged in the invasion. Or did it? And entering the last yellow sector, things are fine? Ah, had me for a second. We get a call from Gerard to tell us that we definitely, positively should not go through that door right there under any circumstances. Past the door, we meet Dr. Nadira, who is running the Hellhound control experiments, and he volunteers us to give him a hand. We just need to lock the door and give him all of our weapons for security reasons. And of course, surprise surprise, evil scientist is evil. Fuck it, we ball. A little further we get our prize, the green keycard, which means we can also come back for this little storage area in Sector 1. And a bit of a panicked email from a guy called Kronos telling Nadira to deal with us. Well, if the Doomslayer was on my tail, I'd shit demon bricks too. With the keycard in hand, Gerard gives us the "dude bro, I'm bailing your ass just this once" talk, and we leave the sector. Returning back to the hub, we now have access to the Green Wing, and most importantly, new gossip to read and listen to. It turns out that Dr. Jensen and Gerard were at odds even before shit hit the fan. In fact, there are even rumors that Kronos and Gerard worked together at some point. But he did try to warn us of the ambush, right? And totally not keep the green keycard out of our hands. Anyways, with the green keycard in our hands, we can enter Sector 4. It's the oldest part of the Martian settlements, as explained by the nearby NPC who needs help getting through a malfunctioning door. And you know what they say?
Explosions!
It's a good thing our old pal Dr. Gerard shows up out of thin air with his IT magic. Just past, we find a sweet firepower upgrade in the form of a plasma gun. And what seems to be Dr. Jensen's secret stash. Gerard seems to think so, and doesn't want us to touch anything before the forensics can get here. Anyhow, the blue keycard isn't here, so let's keep going. Entering Sector 5, we finally get some good news, a lead on the blue keycard, which is held by Dr. Jensen. Not so good news is that he was arrested, and his current location is unknown. With a little snooping, and some lead hacking, we find the guy locked in a cell, begging for our help. I don't know... Wait, what's this? He was apprehended while logging a rocket launcher? Let me reiterate. This nerd gets fired, refuses to leave in the middle of a demonic invasion, grabs a rocket launcher and demands answers. Gets shit done to the point where favors have to be pulled with security to get him out of the way. Hell yeah, we're helping him out. We get his rocket launcher if we missed the earlier secret, the blue keycard, and a scheduled meeting with Little Weasel Nadira. If you think I'm giving you the abridged version, I'm really not. This has been practically the entire plot thus far, minus a few emails which are just flavor text. The only RPG parts of the game are XP points and it does not introduce a sweeping narrative or dialogue options or multiple endings based on personal choices. It is simply a Doom game that had to creatively fit the mobile phone platform by going turn-based. The plot is standard Doom, but the game gives you more ways to interact with the world than violence. And it also gives you a lot of violence. It plays almost like a strange love child between Doom 3's story-rich claustrophobic levels and old Doom's happy trigger finger, almost like Doom 2016, but that is still 11 years away. It may be a strange, forgotten relic, but Doom RPG is a solid game. Of course it is, it has this guy in the credits. I'm not sure how well the background recording conveys it, but it plays tight. There are very few situations where an enemy survives more than 2 hits, and if you know what weapons work on what enemies, you will end most fights in one. What that translates to is such an awesome forward momentum, which is so much in the spirit of the series. Large fights aren't combat puzzles, they are solutions to boredom. Weapon switching or ammo economy aren't necessary for progression, they are making progression fun. This game is fun. The plot and the environmental storytelling are just context to glorious violence. They do not take themselves overly seriously and sometimes veer into the comedy and tongue-in-cheek gags. Nevertheless, I will spoil the rest of the story, so skip here if you don't want spoilers. Jensen beats us to Sector 6 in pursuit of Gerard. It leads to an extended chase sequence, as much as it's applicable to a turn-based game, with demons spawning left and right, and Gerard's back, or rather his face as the sprites always face you, visible around the corners. We even get a rudimentary cutscene for the faceless marine who can't even stand up to zombies. Do you know who does not get a cutscene? Dr. Chad Jensen, who takes a few bullets, apologizes for not being able to keep up, then decides that he's okay and keeps up anyways. You know, if Gerard didn't have his bullshit teleport powers, this invasion would end with Jensen's boot up his rear portal. We have no choice but to head to Sector 7 for the red card before shit hits the fan. Speaking of, yeah, that sounds about right. Sector 7 is a bit of a mess, but thankfully we see a friendly face. Dr. Kelvin explains that the lab is coming apart, but we can use the prototype teleporter to get through the other side. Oh no, anyways.
Gonna kill you and I'll keep killing you and I'll never, cause you're gonna be dead and I'm gonna kill you.
Well, this smells like guts and sabotage. Hope Kelvin is alright. Also, the scientists seem to be freaking out about something. Something big and ugly is coming indeed. We need the keycard fast before Gerard well, shit. Technically, entering this teleporter locks us into the endgame, but this is where the point is driven home. World takes on a red tint as all hell breaks loose, lava pours from the floor, and there is no way out but straight into the breach. Actually, for the sake of completion, we can do a victory lap through the map with much stronger enemies spawning in, but that is just extra credit.
You're better than me, you're good for another thing.
The junction is a ruined mess, since it was the first to be hit by the horde coming out of the reactor sector, yet surprisingly we still see pockets of resistance in between packs of high-level demons barely holding on. Kronos is on the comms, taunting us through the terminals. We finally enter the red door to find Dr. Double Chad Kelvin at the door controls. Let me reiterate, this absolute Chad survived whoever was sent to kill him in the teleporter lab, got right into the path of the demon horde and shut the door in their faces. And that is the only reason why the junction is only mostly fucked. Still, it's only a temporary measure since the actual portal to hell is in the reactor room and they will eventually break through. He sends us to find Dr. Jensen in the hopes that he can figure out a plan of action. In a reverse BioWare move, our hometown is burning all around us, yet we are not here to flee, but to enact holy vengeance. We can even visit the old wings, though not the levels themselves, for extra goodies and stumble upon the best secret in the game. Jensen is just up ahead by the old shop terminal. He hits us with "Ultra-violence is a perfectly valid solution," gets gored, refuses to scream, says goodbye, pieces out. What an absolute Chad. Sadly, compared to all of that, the reactor core as a level is a little anticlimactic. It starts strong with multiple rooms full of ammo, like it's gearing you up for a massive fight, which never happens. Here, let me summarize it.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Eat shit and die.
Ta-da!
So, was it any good? Well, I don't think I can put it any clearer. Yes. If I have a hard time putting a game down, then it's good. It looks rough around the edges, especially at the very end. But then again, it was designed to run on a micro potato. Roughness and clunk are inevitable. But if we are to delve past the facade, we find that the janky gameplay is surprisingly well balanced and tongue-in-cheek story is surprisingly well paced. Exploration, combat, plotline, none of them are an afterthought, and none of them overstay their welcome. It's not just a good game, it's a fun game. It has soul. Doom RPG is one of those weird, obscure games that the public at large doesn't seem to know about, and that's a real shame. In the mid-2000s, it was quite common to get movie and even PC and console tie-ins made for mobile to ride the hype wave and make some quick cash. Doom RPG is not one of those. It's a solid game with heart and soul poured into it, and if you trust the official website, it's also canon. This is the Doom guy, and I have no idea how that's supposed to work. I personally like to think that this is his first day on the job, which is why his kill count is only in the low hundreds. Normally, an obscure release is where it ends for these mobile games, but I'm quite happy to say that Doom RPG has a legacy. One branch resulted in Doom RPG 2, which released in 2009. The other went a more heretical route, and we got Orcs and Elves. I am a sucker for some good fantasy, so that is definitely on the docket. Just hopefully on a slightly tighter time schedule. In my defense, I moved apartments and I got married since the last video came out. Hopefully I'll make the next one before I send my future children off to college. I do appreciate you for sticking to the very end. I still have no idea how or what I'm doing on this platform, and for that I deeply apologize. It will continue to happen. Until then, have a good one.